What's going on, everybody? My name is Gamerslasher, and today I am doing another reaction video to SCP Illustrated. So, without further ado, make sure that you hit that like and subscribe in case you like any of this video, and check out my other videos. I have other reactions too. So yeah, without further ado, it's time to check out SCP-001 Ikea OC Apollyon. Let's get it.
The following data release has been authorized by the following council members and administration staff.
Don't mind the noise in case you hear any background noise. Let's try to get this video to at least 10 likes, you know what I'm saying? That'll be amazing. 10 likes. That's all I want. Just 10 likes. See if we can do it. Yeah, this about to be interesting. Here we go. SCP-001.
There are three things that we humans are capable of that raise them above every other species in the animal kingdom. One is running. There are faster sprinters, but over long distances we stand above the rest. It doesn't matter if you're crossing an African savanna to look for your next meal, if you're running up the street to make it to your job on time, or if you're stuck in an infinite Ikea trying to find a good vantage point to watch a battle. Running is our thing.
Right.
The other thing is really the core of the battle happening here. Humans are natural throwers. Other apes can do it, even some monkeys can do it. But when it comes to throwing with both power and accuracy, there is no comparison. Be it a long stick with a rock on the end, a baseball, or a sharpened piece of cherry wood pulled from a box labelled Bjorksnaz. This piece of cherry wood was thrown by Master Thompson of the Home Decor clan. Its purpose is to find the heart of Lord Pillman of the Food Court. Pillman has already thrown a spear as well. This one is stained oak. They pass each other in flight and both find their mark. The last warriors standing in this bloody battle fall at the same time. Master Thompson clutches the spear that's lodged itself just below his heart. He's already drowning in blood as his lungs fill with it. Pillman lost consciousness when the other spear passed through his neck, the loss of blood pressure being just a bit too much. And the man perched high above the battle, Jamal of the Customer Service Kingdom, took notes in his journal. He was a neutral observer. His job was to report back what had happened here. The winner between the Home Decor and the Food Court clan would gain access to the newly discovered and fully functional bathrooms 2 hours over. Jamal stood up to survey the scene. There were no winners here. Everyone lay dead or dying.
Jeez. It's a lot of
But then something happened. Something that had never happened before.
Who's that?
The intercom system, long thought a vestigial relic of a bygone age, crackled to life.
Who is that?
Clean up on aisle 34A-029B.
Yo, his voice. Clean up on aisle 40 out there. Clean up on aisle 34A-029B. That's how he sound, yeah.
Jamal's eyes went wide. That wasn't anywhere near here. It was right next to the customer service desk.
Yo, I'm thirsty.
You'll recall I mentioned that there were three things humans are capable of that raise us above every other species. We run, we throw, and we're storytellers. Regardless of what happened next, Jamal had a story to tell.
Uh-oh. Tell that story.
The Customer Service Kingdom was the most powerful group in this area. They had gained that power by being neutral and avoiding conflict.
Right.
Everyone else thought the best way to get big was to fight each other, claim territory, be bastards. Really, it was about remaining at peace long enough to grow. Several dozen men and women now called the customer service desk home, more than enough to be any opposing force. Opposing factions would come here to pay tribute to the king. They'd ask to see the manager, and those manning the desk would go into the back and ask. He never came out. The legend
Yeah,
was that he
they
waited
probably-
for one who was worthy to join him on the golden couch that he called his throne. No one outside of the kingdom had ever seen him in person.
Wow.
Of course, the truth was there was no king. The customer service kingdom was little more than a gang, and everyone was more or less equal. When someone asked to see the manager, they'd just go in the back, have a drink and a snack in the fully functional employee break room, and then come out and say how sorry they were that the Sofa King wasn't seeing anyone today. The inside of the break room was a wonder to behold. Snack machines that never ran out, a microwave, a sink for fresh water, employee bathrooms that never clogged, a coffee machine, and an emergency fire exit that wouldn't open. More importantly, it had a door that locked. They could sleep in relative peace every night. It was a paradise for them. Jamal reached the last end cap before home, braced himself, and peeked around it. The yellow shirts and blue pants of the Ikea employees were the first things he saw.
Ikea, that's...
They were swarming. Why they were attacking during the day, though, he didn't know or understand. The Ikea employees were attacking some still-moving figures on the ground.
What the
At
hell?
first, he imagined it was his own people, but it was something else. Jamal was used to seeing and avoiding the Ikea employees. They were misshapen, half-human monsters of flesh.
I remember those. I don't know
here
the
on the
dudes
ground
with no
were
faces.
more monsters. These with no clothing at all. The Ikea employees kept hitting them, but they weren't bleeding and they didn't die. The
What the
employees
hell?
continued the beating in silence. Whatever had happened here, the other members of the kingdom were nowhere to be seen. He was about to turn and run when a massive hairy hand settled on his shoulder. The man who owned it spoke in a hushed whisper.
Come with me if you want to live.
Oh,
The man let
snap.
out a low chuckle.
I've always wanted to say that. But seriously, you'll die if you stay here.
The two men silently ran away.
Hell yeah, definitely go. And them red
The
people
two men
start
had managed to
going.
find an aisle that was currently free of staff. The creatures were still milling about somewhere nearby, shuffling across the floor in squeaky, poorly shaped shoes.
Them shoes
But
are
for the
on fleek,
moment,
though.
they were alone.
They look nice.
Sonny, the hairy-handed man, stopped and crouched down.
What the fuck happened?
It all started with the door. We were all waiting for you to get back. Most of us were inside the break room, relaxing, eating, or resting. Starla noticed it first. We have no idea how long it was like that, but the emergency exit had swung open.
Oh hell.
The wind was... God, it felt so good. And we could see the sunlight outside. Starla stood up while most of us were still stunned, and she went outside. At first it was... God, it was beautiful. Seeing her there, standing in the sunlight, watching the wind blow through her hair. Then she turned to look back at us, and her face was melting.
Oh
What do you mean,
yeah.
melting?
They were melting. That is
I
right.
don't know.
I remember that.
She was melting. First her face, then the rest of her. Thomas ran out to help, but he started to melt too, and I closed the damn door.
Jesus.
We were still trying to figure out what to do an hour later when there was this dull thump on the door.
Wait. Hold on. So when you feel yourself start to melt, these people don't try to run back? Or is it like, once they start to melt, it's over, they can't move anymore? Like, man, if I felt the littlest piece of me start to melt, I'm running right back to the door. No way in hell I'm staying right there. But who knows? I don't think they can move or something, or it's so painful they can't move it. I don't know. You guys tell me in the comments.
I could hear Starla and Thomas on the other side. They were begging us to come out. To
Oh,
join
hell
them in
no.
the sun.
Join
I pushed one of the vending machines in front of the door and the rest of us scattered.
join you in the
It
sun.
didn't stop. They kept knocking, pleading with us. And then they started to pound. The door started to creak, the vending machine moved. We tried to hold it shut, but all of us together couldn't do it. They were screaming at us, told us to let them in. Then I don't know what to call it, but a long, skinny arm reached
What
into
the
the crack
hell?
and grabbed Misha. She got dragged out screaming, and the rest of us ran.
Oh,
I heard the
hell
door
no.
open up behind us, and I didn't see anyone else make it out.
That's a hell of a story.
Sonny nodded and, for the first time since Jamal had known the man, started to cry.
That's crazy. So that vending machine didn't do nothing.
The two did their best to find a place out of reach of the monsters in Ikea uniforms that roamed the store and tried to remain as quiet as possible. Their current location was atop several boxes of painted black desks. Jamal hazarded that most of what was inside wouldn't have been very useful as weapons, but then he noticed several metal poles as part of the design. The two of them opened a box and extracted the pieces. While they waited, Sonny took a moment to attach handles to the drawer fronts, which were just large enough to act as a shield of sorts. Jamal took the metal poles from the design and began to sharpen them into spears. They were a bit shorter than he was used to, but they'd still work if he needed to beat someone to death.
Right.
The two men were just finishing their work when they looked down at the aisle beneath them. The employees were stood there, just staring up at them with blank, featureless faces.
Literally
the two men
blank
were about
faces.
to run again when the next aisle crashed to the ground. A wave of other monsters came down and screeched. The Ikea employees leapt forward to attack and were quickly joined by more. The intercom crackled to life once again.
Clean up on aisle 304-219A.
Jamal and Sonny watched as more employees began flooding towards their location.
God
The wave
dang.
of new monsters washed over the few employees they
Hold on. The employees are fearless.
were fighting and knocked hard into the boxes they were standing atop. The two men jumped down and began to run. At first it went well. Then the two men ran into another battle between the melted monsters and the employees. The employees ignored them as they continued the beating, but the melted monsters were reaching out with rippling flesh tendrils. The two of them defended themselves with the makeshift weapons at their sides.
Hell
The
yeah.
creature that reached for Jamal was about a foot taller than him and covered in bleeding red marks. It had already seen some fighting, it seemed. A long tendril reached out with alarming speed and Jamal deflected it off the draw shield they'd made. The creature screeched to him
Oh,
in an
snap, the
echoing voice
tentacle's
and
moving.
continued the onslaught. A heavy whack caught him in the shoulder and he went flying into a displayed dining set that turned to splinters beneath him. Jamal scrambled to get up just as the creature was upon him. Tendrils fired out from its abdomen that shot towards Jamal. He slashed at one with the point of his spear and then spun in place, stabbing the thing where he figured its head would be. The creature's other tendril caught Jamal along the arm and pushed him to the ground.
That thing looked pissed.
The thing pulled the spear and shield out of Jamal's hands and then lifted him into the air above it. Jamal thrashed, but he couldn't break free. Half a dozen employees then descended upon the creature and began to beat on it with their fists.
Yo, I like
At
these
first,
employees.
its grip on Jamal loosened, then it relaxed completely. Jamal tumbled out of its grip and he slammed into the tiled floor. He tried to get his breath back, but his lungs were burning. The creature he'd been fighting grabbed one of the employees instead and moved away from the group.
Yo,
Jamal
they
had
are
just enough time
jacking
to
that
panic
thing
as the
up.
faceless heads of the employees surrounded him. Then, one offered him a hand. He wasn't sure what to do, but Jamal took the hand anyway. It helped him to his feet while another handed him his spear and shield. A stunned Jamal stood there as the employees took off in the direction the monster was fleeing. He looked around for his friend. Sonny was laying under a collapsed shelf a few feet away, a pool of blood gathering beneath him. Jamal watched the rest of the Ikea employees begin to swarm towards his old home, the customer service desk. The employees were looking to finish things, it seemed. He raised the spear above his head, yelled for the Sofa King, and ran towards the fray. It was still a lie, of course, but a comforting one. The fray, it
Jeez.
turned out, was dying down considerably.
Yo,
Jamal
I ain't gonna lie, man. These IKEA employees remind me of One Punch Man, yo. Yo, they really remind me of One Punch Man. Like that looks cool.
stood there just on the other side of the help desk looking around for anyone he recognized. A few familiar faces were there with him, surveying the broken remains of the customer service kingdom. The help desk had been retaken and the Ikea employees were milling about now aimlessly. The few melted monsters left from outside were being dragged behind the desk and into the break room. Jamal began to relax just a bit, then a low, deep rumble shook the ground beneath them. The employees stopped and turned just as a wave of flesh came pouring out from behind the help desk. Jamal ran forward and began to stab it with his spear. As he engaged in battle, he saw other members of his own crew fighting as well. He smiled, happy to know some had made it out after all. The employees had joined them and were beating on the wall of flesh too. The fleshy mass extended several tendrils which grabbed at everyone they could reach,
Yo.
both employee and human. Jamal was lifted by his ankle high into the air. He swung his short spear helplessly as he dangled in front of it. Then, all at once, the flesh wall began to retract back into the break room. He, several of his fellow humans, and a few employees went with it. He was dragged across the carpeted floor, past the vending machines and out of the emergency exit with amazing speed.
Jeez.
It was a moonless night outside, accompanied by a soft breeze. He could hear the flesh monster that held him humming in the darkness. And then, the night was lit by fire. He barely had time to react as a helicopter came roaring from behind the Ikea with flamethrowers blasting. Whoever was inside had impeccable aim, burning the flesh monster and avoiding the captives.
Jeez.
The flesh wall screeched in pain and released them. The employees scrambled to their feet and ran back into the Ikea while the humans lay stunned on the ground. Jamal and several other humans had half a mind to run into the Ikea themselves, but when they looked, the emergency exit was just a plain brick wall. While they processed this, the flesh wall retreated into the nearby woods, screeching all the way. The helicopter landed nearby and men in black armor began to quickly gather them together.
Oh, snap.
He didn't know who these people were or what the symbol on their armor meant,
Yo,
but he
what is
imagined
that?
they had quite a story to tell.
Yo, I want to know about these dudes right here. Now that is what I call an amazing video. Holy smokes. Those guys, that right there is what I really want to know. Well, in case you guys enjoyed that awesome video, please let me know down below what you guys think about this video, and leave a like and subscribe. Let's try to hit 10 likes, and yeah, tell me what you guys think. So what are those people right there with the symbols? That's something I really want to know, because they look very interesting. This video by SCP Illustrated was phenomenal. It looks like from the past, before their older videos, this one looks just way better. Like the production of it is amazing. But without further ado, see you guys next time. Peace.